Ladies and gentlemen, the college where Charlie Kirk lost his life is memorializing him in this grand gesture that I think is very fitting. How are you good people doing, my American brothers and sisters? Welcome to the channel. I'm Ty Smith. You're watching my channel, Model Renaissance Man, which I'm greatly appreciative of. Make sure you guys are following me up here, follow me down here. Click this, it helps me. Thank you. If and when you do subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification that will bring that in the drop box for you to select all notifications. All right. Do not forget to check out the other channel, Man, Husband, Father, and everything I ask you to do over here. Make sure you do over there. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we come upon Charlie Kirk's funeral this coming Sunday, that's going to be at the State Farm Stadium. College has done something that I think is very fitting, right where the spot where Charlie Kirk died at. They're doing this as a type of memorial. And a lot of college students came out and spoke up because they actually have returned back to class, which there's a lot of stuff, man. I think it's going to be a lot of tension that's going to be at the school. It's going to be a lot of fear. It's going to be a lot of anger. There's going to be a lot of confusion. But what they're doing here at the college, I think, is a very good thing to memorialize Charlie Kirk. Check it out.
Our nation in mourning after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Supporters have been paying their respects outside of Turning Point USA's headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona. Charlie Kirk will be memorialized with a funeral service on Sunday at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. In a powerful tribute, Utah Valley University draped a massive American flag over the area where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Students there returned to classes yesterday. Some say they are very shaken.
I think even just being on campus is hard for everybody. You know, it's a super emotional moment.
This is somewhere that we go to further our lives, and it could be also the place where it ends our lives.
He celebrated all the things I support: family, God, love. He never went a day in his life never preaching about how much he loved those.
I think it was important that he really, spoke to the youth, because they're our upcoming generation.
I don't think UVU is ever going to be the same.
You saw Tuesday and Wednesday, we're checking in on the nation and on that campus on a regular basis with our love, our thoughts, and we want to hear theirs, what they're going through. Moments ago, President Trump honored Charlie Kirk's legacy while speaking from the UK.
Charlie Kirk was heinously assassinated for speaking his mind. He was a great young man. Incredible future. Some people said he might be president someday. I told him, I said, Charlie, I think you have a good shot someday at being president. And he just wanted to take care of youth. He loved youth. I've never seen anybody relate to youth like Charlie, and they related to him, and they're devastated.
And as we take a moment as a nation to bow our heads and think better thoughts about the future if we can, the left is making that very hard to do by pushing false narratives, like the one about Charlie Kirk's suspected assassin. ABC has suspended Jimmy Kimmel's late-night show live indefinitely over remarks he made surrounding all of this that we've been through. Kimmel is reportedly furious over the decision and looking for ways to get out of his contract. Here is exactly what he said in his opening monologue on Monday.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from.
President Trump posted, "Great news for America. The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done." Senior national correspondent William Lajeunesse. William.
Well, here's two things here. What Kimmel said, and secondly, why stations want him off the air. But then there's another layer. There's a $6 billion sale of some TV stations that some feel ABC caved to government pressure to get the deal done. But let's start with Kimmel. Seen here after ABC suspended his show for comments about Kirk's killer and this joke about President Trump.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
Well, many found that offensive. Also, Tyler Robinson's mother says he's politically left, pro-gay and pro-trans rights. Kimmel is wrong.
To see that America's broadcasters are standing up to serve the interests of their community. We don't just have this progressive foie gras coming out from New York and Hollywood.
So that prompted this from the ACLU and Democrats. Jimmy Kimmel is the latest target of the Trump administration's plan to silence critics and control what American people read and watch.
This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values.
America is a less free place if late-night comedians cannot do and say what they want.
We should not be going after people for this. Look, did he get some things wrong? Yeah. I mean, but he is not a commentator, a news anchor. This is somebody who's a comedian.
Well, many feel he is a social commentator, but Kimmel can say what he wants, but ABC can also hold him responsible for it.
We still have free speech, but if you're putting a television show on, broadcasting to millions of people nationwide, and you're telling lies, sure, you can do that. That's free speech, but there are consequences to it.
And here's the backstory, Harris. The red dots you see are ABC-owned affiliates by Sinclair Broadcasting. The yellow dots represent some of the 32 ABC stations owned by Nexstar, which is trying to buy 64 more stations in a $6 billion deal that must be approved by the FCC. So many feel that Kimmel is being pulled off the air until ABC can get that deal done, or at least on Nexstar's behalf, help them get this deal done. They suspended Kimmel only until that deal goes through, and he makes an apology, then comes back on air. But I will say, ABC is losing some money. He makes about $6 million a month for the network, so you know, it's not chump change, if you will, having him off the air.
He also makes a lot of money. I mean, think about it. And his ratings are low. I mean, they pay him anyway. William, he does have at least one other show on that network. Any word on that?
What show's that?
He's got like a game show on as well. No. Okay.
I hate to say I go to sleep.
You
I see it.
Oh, and that says it all. Okay, William Lodgen S., great reporting. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
That says it all about the ratings. In focus now, Ben Shapiro, podcast host. Great to see you today. First of all, you're in the media. You're seeing this blow up, as we all did, in social media over the last 24 hours, especially last night. Your first reaction?
My first reaction is I'm sort of surprised that it took 10 years for the public to sound off on how much Jimmy Kimmel sucks. I mean, the reality is that he's been awful at his job for full on a decade. His ratings have been terrible. He has become not a comedian, but as Guy Benson over there has said, the woke pope of late night comedy. And so affiliates looking at Jimmy Kimmel at this point and saying, you know what, we don't wish to be associated with Jimmy Kimmel's program. That is perfectly well within the ambit of what affiliates very often do when they don't like the programming or they don't like the things that particular hosts are saying. Sinclair has made very clear their feelings about Jimmy Kimmel. They say they're going to replace his show on the air this Friday with an hour-long tribute to all of our friend Charlie Kirk, which I think is exactly the right move. I would not be shocked at all if that tribute received significantly higher ratings than Jimmy Kimmel's show did in that slot.
Well, back in 2017, there was somebody who already felt like Jimmy Kimmel didn't have great humor. In fact, he tweeted about it. Charlie Kirk. Look at this. Charlie Kirk said then, October 5th, 2017, Jimmy Kimmel isn't funny. Ben.
Well, I mean, Charlie was right about a lot of things. That is just another thing that Charlie was right about. And again, I think that the question as to whether Kimmel is losing his position, whether he ever comes back due to public pressure or whether it's due to the Trump administration is an interesting question. But there's no question that the general public was not buying what Jimmy Kimmel was selling, and that was evident from the ratings. And if affiliates, again, say, you know what, we don't wish to put this on our stations, well, nobody has a right to a late night show on ABC or its affiliates.
Well, Kimmel was far from the only person in the legacy media pushing the false narrative that the suspect was MAGA and motivated by far-right ideology. Watch this.
The shooter was right-wing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not really hard to figure out. In fact, he was very, very right-wing.
He had at least some association or affinity or fascination or interest in this Groyper group, which would lead you to believe that he's actually not a leftist.
There was an incredible amount of angry discourse from the right blaming the Democrats, blaming liberals, saying, you're the reason this happened. Only to find out, surprise, 22-year-old white dude, love guns, didn't check it in them boxes y'all thought he would check, did he?
I mean, at least they are showing us who they are.
It was very clear early on exactly what was going on here. I mean, the early accounts from media outlets, including places like The Guardian and Tablet Magazine, were reporting that friends and family of the shooter said that he had turned very hard to the left. We knew very early on what was etched on those bullets, which included not only gamer language, but a language that was associated with apparently trans issues. And of course, it was pretty clear very early on, as early as Saturday, actually, that this person was a gay man who was in a relationship with another man who believed he was a woman, and they were both into a phenomenon that can only be described as furriness. And so the idea that this was in any way a right-wing shooter was debunked extraordinarily early on, and yet that line continued to be retailed. Now we see a sort of backup line, which is, well, actually, it was just a personal psychological issue. It had to do with his relationships. We've seen the line that actually was apolitical, that had nothing to do with politics at all. All of that is absolute sheer nonsense. He says in those text messages with his gay lover that Charlie Kirk was hateful, and the reason he thought Charlie Kirk was hateful is because of Charlie's views specifically on the gay and trans issues.
And, you know, I'm thinking about some of the comments from Montel Williams and others who have, you know, talked about the fact that it was just his broken heart, basically. It was some sort of a love situation, and he was brokenhearted. Look, I do want to talk about this just big picture for a second, because I have said this before. I think more speech is always better, not into killing speech. But we're in a moment right now, you know, you want to talk about the FCC. We're not handled by them. We don't have a license from them. Broadcast stations do. And what's appropriate, what isn't. I'm all for more free speech, more speech, more speech, but it comes with responsibility. And we used to have that in this country, and it seems to have gone away. Your thought?
Again, social consequences for bad speech, that is a normal part of American life. I think the question over the past 20 years is whether it's been too broadly applied to mainstream views like Charlie's views. You know, Charlie would say a man is not a woman, and then you'd have social consequences for saying something perfectly normal. And you say something off the wall, no social consequences. Well, social consequences or market consequences for saying stupid stuff on your late night TV show on ABC, those are market consequences, social consequences. Now, the question of government involvement, again, raises some other issues, I think, and muddies the waters.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all just seen Ben Shapiro speak on that, and I know y'all heard that Ben Shapiro is going to go out there and probably start doing some of the stuff that Charlie Kirk did, which it has some other people pissed off. Even though Ben Shapiro have done things like this in regards to debating people regarding a lot of social issues, I think the thing that have people pissed off is that, let's keep it real, they want someone and they want others to do the same thing that Charlie Kirk did, who were about Charlie Kirk's message that was beyond social issues, but matters of the heart in regards to spirituality and Christianity. So I'm thinking that somebody is throwing shots saying, if you go up there and try to do what Charlie Kirk doing, knowing what you are about religious-wise, knowing that Charlie Kirk didn't agree with you religious-wise, he might agree with you on a lot of points in life. But to go up there and so-called take the mic and continue what Charlie Kirk has done, and you didn't believe in what he believed in, a lot of people have some problems with that. Now, what the college did was very great. It was very good. I doubt if any students are going to go out there and try to deface that. If you do, go ahead and risk getting yourself expelled with the rest of the dummies. They got themselves expelled over their idiotic, stupid, ratchet behavior they display for all the world to see. Guys, I just want to bring y'all that real quick. We're going to be moving on to some other stories. It's going to be crazy today. Like, guys, oh my God, I'll tell y'all in a minute. But don't forget to do what y'all see in these elements right here. Leave a comment down below. The next video I'm going to be doing is absolutely crazy with a old woman doing something to another old woman up there. It's crazy. Videos as of yesterday right here. Subscribe by clicking this icon. I am Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man, hoping and praying every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing. And most of all, praying every last one of you guys in great health mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.